When you tap your phone to pay for coffee, or when you look at an Islamic bank's savings account, have you ever stopped to wonder what's actually going on behind the scenes? Well, the answer is kind of surprising. It's an ancient contract, thousands of years old, called Wadi'ah, the principle of safekeeping. So let's dive in and see how this old school idea of trust is, believe it or not, a huge part of modern finance.
Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute soul of this concept, the spirit of safekeeping. Then, we'll get into a really important difference, trustee versus guarantor. After that, we'll see the magic trick of how this ancient idea got a modern makeover for banking. We'll also clear up why it's not alone, and finally, we'll look at how it's showing up in our digital world right now. All right, first things first, let's get to the heart of what this is all about. This isn't just about stashing your stuff somewhere. It's about a foundational idea of trust in economics. I mean, think about it. We've all done this, right? You ask a friend to watch your bag, hold your keys, or even just look after a plant while you're gone. That simple, everyday act of trust, that's exactly the feeling we're talking about here. That's the core of it all. And that act actually has a name, Wadi'ah. It literally means deposit or entrustment. So what it really is a contract where you leave your property with someone else just for safekeeping. It's an agreement that's built on nothing but integrity and trust. The Quran even talks about this, saying, "Let him who is entrusted discharge his trust faithfully." And in its classic form, it's incredibly simple. Just look at this diagram. Person A gives something to person B. Person B holds on to it. And when person A wants it back, B gives it back. That's it. No strings attached, just pure, simple trust. Now, for this contract to be legitimate, there are a few key things you need. You've got to have a clear offer and acceptance. You both know what you're agreeing to. Both people have to be legally competent. And the thing being deposited has to be lawful and, something you can actually keep safe. Now, this is crucial. If that thing generates any benefit, like say you're safekeeping a goat and it has a kid, that kid belongs to the original owner. And since it's all based on trust, either person can call it quits at any time. So that all sounds great, but what happens if something goes wrong? Like, what if the item gets lost or damaged? Who's on the hook? This brings us to a really critical distinction, the difference between being a trustee and being a guarantor. By default, the person holding your stuff is just a trustee or an amin. Their only job is to take reasonable care of it, pretty much the same way they'd care for their own things. So if something totally unexpected happens, a natural disaster, a random theft, something that wasn't their fault, they're not required to pay you back. You trusted them to be careful, not to be an insurance policy against everything. But, and this is a big but, that status can totally change. This is where it gets really interesting. A trustee becomes a full-on guarantor if they cross a line. If they're negligent, like leaving your laptop in an unlocked car, or if they start using your stuff for their own benefit without asking, if they mix your money in with their own personal cash, or if they hand it off to somebody else without your permission. If they do any of those things, boom, the responsibility shifts and they are now 100% liable for any loss. Okay, so how on earth does this ancient idea about looking after a friend's goat connect to the massive world of modern banking? Well, this is where things get really clever. This is the adaptation that makes modern Islamic savings accounts possible. Check out this flow. In the modern version, you don't just deposit your money with the bank, you also give the bank permission to use and invest that money. And that permission, that is the absolute game changer. The bank can then go invest the funds, and it's obligated to give you your original deposit back whenever you ask for it. So let's put these side by side to make it super clear. On one hand, you have classical Wadi'ah, pure safekeeping. The keeper is a trustee and can't touch the funds. On the other hand, you have modern Wadi'ah, a guaranteed deposit. The bank is allowed to use the funds, and because it's using them to make a profit for itself, its status automatically flips to that of a guarantor, or a dominant. So to sum up a modern Wadi'ah bank account, it works like this. You give the bank permission to use your money. In exchange, the bank guarantees you'll get your principal back, in full, whenever you want it. Now, because the bank is taking on all the investment risk, it also gets to keep all the profits. And sometimes, as a thank you, the bank might give you a little gift, called a hibah. But, and this is key, it can never be promised or guaranteed ahead of time, because that would just be interest. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a minute, giving someone money that they use and then promise to give back? That sounds an awful lot like a loan. It's a really common question. So let's clear up exactly why a Wadi'ah deposit is not the same as a loan or Qardh. This table just lays it all out. With a Wadi'ah deposit, the ownership of the money never actually leaves you. The bank is just a custodian. With a loan, ownership transfers completely. The whole relationship is different too. It's depositor and trustee, not creditor and debtor. And the purpose is totally different, safekeeping versus financial help. And all of that changes who's liable for what. And honestly, it all boils down to this one simple, elegant principle. Liability follows benefit. Since the bank is the one getting the benefit from investing your money, the bank has to be the one to take on the liability of guaranteeing it. That one little phrase just perfectly sums up the whole ethical logic here. All right, let's bring this all home. Let's fast forward to today. How does this ancient contract, built on face-to-face trust, even apply in our crazy, digital, and often pretty impersonal financial world? Well, you're probably using this concept and don't even realize it. Think about digital wallets, your Apple Pay, your PayPal. They act as custodians. They hold your money for safekeeping until you're ready to use it. Or crowdfunding sites. They hold all the contributions and trust before they hand them over to the project creator. Both of these are working on the core principle of Wadi'ah. The big challenge today, of course, is keeping that trust alive with serious cybersecurity and total transparency. So as our money becomes less about physical cash and more about lines of code, you have to ask yourself, what can this ancient contract, something built on simple human trust, really teach us about building a better, more ethical financial future? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.